As Gaza burns and diplomacy stalls, Israel is signaling a return to all-out war. Defense Minister Israel Katz warns that if Hamas refuses to release hostages, Israel will intensify its assault on Gaza City. The statement came just hours after Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich sparked outrage, claiming international law does not apply to Jews. As ceasefire talks hang by a thread, the Israeli government's rhetoric is growing more defiant, and the humanitarian cost in Gaza continues to mount. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said on October 5th that he expects the first phase of US President Donald Trump's Gaza peace plan to be implemented soon, leading to the immediate release of all hostages. Katz credited Israel's ongoing military pressure and the invasion of Gaza City for creating the conditions necessary to move the plan forward. Speaking at a memorial ceremony for the fallen Israeli soldiers of the 1973 Yom Kippur War, Katz said,
"We may soon be informed of the return home of all our hostages, the living and the fallen alike, in accordance with the initiative of US President Donald Trump, at the end of which Hamas will be disarmed and the Gaza Strip will be demilitarized, and the IDF will remain in controlling areas to protect the communities and will act against any threat."
He further said that the IDF is in the heart of Gaza City, and if Hamas refuses to release the hostages, the IDF will again increase the intensity of fire until Hamas is defeated and all the hostages are released. As Israel is planning to ramp up its offensive in Gaza City, Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich again stirred up a controversy. On October 5th, he declared that international law does not apply to Jews, claiming a distinction based on the concept of a chosen people. He said,
"International law does not apply to Jews. That's the difference between the chosen people and the others."
This was part of a series of controversial statements and actions by the far-right minister demonstrating his contempt for international law. Meanwhile, Israel continues to pound Gaza, despite Donald Trump's orders to immediately stop the bombing. Wafa, the Palestinian news agency, reported on October 5th that 6 Palestinian people had been killed since dawn in Israeli attacks. It is reported that 4 civilians were killed waiting for aid near distribution centers northwest of Rafah. 1 man was killed in Israeli shelling targeting Gaza City, and another man was killed by Israeli forces near an aid distribution center around the Netzarim junction. On October 5th, witnesses told the Reuters news agency that Israeli planes escalated attacks across Gaza City, the territory's biggest urban center and an area that Israel claims to be the last bastion of Hamas. As the attacks continue amid the peace talks, a Palestinian official said that Hamas may seek to get Israel to agree on pulling back its forces according to a rigid schedule. The official said that progress in the ceasefire will depend on whether Hamas would agree to the map, which shows the Israeli army would remain in control of most of the Gaza Strip. A map published by US President Donald Trump on October 3rd showed an initial line running through the center of the Strip that Israel would pull back to, after which it would gradually retreat to the perimeter of the enclave. However, the official added that Hamas may also ask for a strict timetable for the Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, and the first phase of talks will determine how things are going to proceed. Sources close to Hamas also told Reuters that while handing over living hostages could prove relatively straightforward, retrieving bodies of dead ones amid the huge devastation and rubble of Gaza may take longer than a few days to achieve. Meanwhile, Khan broadcaster reported that Israeli officials believe Hamas is not ready to accept the US proposal delineating an Israeli military pullback detailed in Washington's 20-point plan to end the Gaza war, and will seek to negotiate changes in talks set to take place in Egypt on October 6th. The station says Hamas's reservations are one of 3 expected points of contention Israel is expecting to need to overcome, along with the group's opposition to disarming and releasing all hostages in one go. According to Khan, Israel expects US President Donald Trump to hold firm on insisting that all hostages be released in a single handover. Earlier on October 4th, US President Donald Trump said in a social media post that Israel has agreed to an initial withdrawal line for Gaza, which has also been shared with Hamas. Trump said, "When Hamas confirms, a ceasefire will be effective immediately and a prisoner exchange will begin, setting the stage for the next phase of Israel's withdrawal from the Palestinian enclave." Israel believes 24 hostages are still alive in the Strip, 22 Israelis, 1 Thai and 1 Nepali. All of them are young men who were kidnapped on October 7, 2023, when thousands of Hamas-led militants stormed southern Israel to kill some 1,200 people and abduct 251, sparking the war in Gaza. The group includes 4 active duty soldiers and several people who had been working security at the Nova Music Festival, some of whom Hamas has claimed were soldiers as well. Under the ceasefire deal, these 24 men would be released in a planned second stage of the deal. However, Israel has balked at entering talks to advance to the next phase, which would involve the withdrawal of forces from Gaza and a permanent end to the war, saying the hostages must first be freed. They have been in captivity for 728 days, 146 have been freed or rescued. More than 100 hostages were released in late 2023, 78 Israelis in an exchange deal, and 27 foreign and dual nationals freed outside of the deal. Israel has rescued 8 hostages in military operations, while Hamas militants released 4 women for humanitarian reasons. Meanwhile, 83 hostages have been confirmed killed. Under the initial phase of a ceasefire deal that began in January, Israel freed nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and detainees in exchange for the release of 25 Israeli hostages, including 2 held in Gaza for about a decade and the bodies of 8 others. 5 Thai hostages were released outside of the deal. The final living hostages were due to be released during a planned second phase of the agreement, but the ceasefire collapsed in March as Israel resumed attacks on Gaza. Throughout the war, Israel has continued to announce the deaths of hostages. Some who it confirmed during forensic and other investigations were killed in the October 7th attack and their bodies taken into Gaza, and others who it says were killed by militants during captivity. While Hamas is thought to hold most of the hostages, some are believed to be held by other militant groups, including Islamic Jihad, whose fighters also took part in the October 7th attack.